She is an Emmy-nominated TV personality, a musician, an educator, and an arts entrepreneur.
I've been very fortunate that right from a very young age, I think I tapped into the fact that I am obsessed with sound and I love creating mega productions, big ideas, dreaming really far out and bringing a lot of people together to do, concerts and theatrical adaptations and, just out of the box sort of productions. I'm a production girl through and through.
She has performed with several Grammy Award-winning artists, including A.R. Rahman and Zakir Hussain.
Across the world, Indian music is so fascinating for people, as they learn about how old and ancient our musical and cultural traditions are. And the fact that we have not one but two, classical traditions from the North and the South, as well as, the plethora of folk music traditions that exist. And of course, now the melding of, contemporary Indian music with jazz and other, genres. So I think all over the world, people are fascinated by the intricacy of the melodies, the intricacy of the rhythmic structures, the way music is passed down, the oral tradition that exists in India, the Guru Shishya Parampara, all those things are very fascinating.
She studied at the Berklee College of Music in Boston and currently is a faculty member there.
Now the most, I would say, well-known ensemble that has grown out of Berklee. We have around 230 million hits, and these are all organic views that have come through. And if you think about it, it started out as a class. This year, 2021, is our 10th anniversary, and we are launching an 11-member ensemble as a professional touring ensemble that is Berklee's first, actually, to go out onto the road.
VaKu Diaspora Broadcasting Network proudly presents Annette on NewsX. Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX VaKu. My name is Megha Sharma, and joining me on the broadcast is Annette. She's a musician, educator, and arts entrepreneur. She's a versatile vocalist from Kerala and now based in Boston, Massachusetts. She's a seasoned recording artist, composer, pianist, a voiceover pro, and an Emmy-nominated personality. And Annette has founded the Berklee Indian Ensemble as well. And she has performed with many Grammy Award-winning artists, including A.R. Rahman, Bill Whelan, Zakir Hussain, and many, many more. So Annette, welcome on the show. It's truly an honor to host you.
Thank you so much, Megha, and thank you to NewsX and also the whole VaKu network. Thank you for bringing all of us together.
Annette, going and taking a look at your versatile background in terms of the kind of works that you have taken on, the kind of people that you have worked with, the kind of projects that you've gone ahead and succeeded in completing, it's an exhaustive list. If you could tell me a little about how does the energy come to bring about everything on a platter?
Oh, well, I think when you're doing something that you absolutely love and that, you wake up in the morning excited to get started on, the energy is sort of there. It's like an instant download, And so I've been very fortunate that right from a very young age, I think I tapped into the fact that I am obsessed with sound and I love creating mega productions, big ideas, dreaming really far out and bringing a lot of people together to do, concerts and theatrical adaptations and, just out of the box sort of productions. I'm a production girl through and through. And once I realized that and sort of, kind of leaned into it, things just started to open up. And of course, as I started with, if you love something completely with your whole heart and your stomach and your brain and your whole spirit is into it, the energy is automatic. And so, yeah, I have tons of it. And of course I have ups and downs. I mean, there's definitely days where there's a lot of howling and venting and worrying as well. But I think I have a quick bounce back spirit. So that's been very helpful.
Okay. Talking about your musical journey, what are the new overtures? What are the new adventures that you've gone ahead and indulged in? If you could share some details about that as well.
Sure. Yeah, well, I continue to work with my a cappella group. It's called Women of the World, and we currently sing in about 37 of the world's languages. And so this is a quartet, four singers, one from Japan, a Haitian from who's also an American citizen, an Italian, and of course me from India. And that group has been around for several years, since 2008, and we continue to tour. We actually just started doing touring now that lockdown is starting to end. And also on the other side, there was an interesting project that I just completed with our former Berkeley president who just retired on June 30th. His name is Roger H. Brown, and he has always loved India. He was the president of Berkeley for 17 years, and he's been such a fan of Rabindranath Tagore's writing, and specifically his poetry. And 2 years ago, he asked me about doing a project together. And I later found out that the poem that he chose, called Earth, was also used by him and his wife in their wedding 34 years ago. And that just made it so precious. So we started writing, and we've done a theatrical adaptation of Tagore's vivid poetry. And it came together so beautifully. We've just released it about a week ago. And we've had the amazing Grammy-winning Antonio Sanchez on drums, John Patitucci on bass, Dennis Montgomery on Hammond, Tia Fuller on saxophone, and a choir, a string quartet. Just a beautiful group of musicians coming together to bring Tagore's poetry to life with a global lens, really.
Isn't that wonderful? Tagore being a world figure himself, and now you're going ahead and bringing about his poems and building them into musicals, which is beautiful. And the fact that the entire world is being able to recreate this sort of legacy that Tagore left for not just Indians but the entire world. And another question that pops in my head is the fact that you going ahead and coming together with all these fabulous musicians, singers, composers, and they are from all parts of the world. How do they witness? How do they look at Indian music, Indian musicians? I also know that they're like the likes of A.R. Rahman, Shreya Ghoshal, they have all been venerated in the Western musical fraternity as well. So how does the melange look like?
Well, I think, across the world, Indian music is so fascinating for people, as they learn about how old and ancient our musical and cultural traditions are. And the fact that we have not one but two, classical traditions from the North and the South, as well as, the plethora of folk music traditions that exist. And of course, now the melding of, contemporary Indian music with jazz and other, genres. So I think all over the world, people are fascinated by the intricacy of the melodies, the intricacy of the rhythmic structures, the way the music is passed down, the oral tradition that exists in India, the Guru Shishya Parampara, all those things are very fascinating for people. And there's a great deal of respect for, both the complexity, the tradition, and also the fact that it has stayed alive all these years and is just getting stronger and stronger, and that it's so intense. I mean, it's a lifelong immersion to learn Indian music of any kind. And, so we've had an opportunity at Berkeley to bring Indian music, Indian culture, even Indian textiles, saris, things like that, Indian food to the community. And there are 105 musicians at Berkeley, 105 countries represented at Berkeley. Mm-hmm. And it's been beautiful to see how they absorb this music and how they also then reinterpret our music and our traditions in their own way, bringing their cultural elements to it. So, yeah, it's been a fascinating journey, and who knows what the future holds. But we want to do a lot more collaboration, and I think that's the way to keep growing.
Absolutely. And Annette, you're doing a great service when you go ahead and become a representative of India and going ahead and spreading the culture, the music of our, when comes to our traditions, when it comes to our musical culture, be it from the northern part of the country or the southern part of the country, and so much of the folk music also that constitutes what the entire cultural musical aspect of India is. I thank you so much for joining me on this broadcast. And while we can go ahead and talk for hours about how this melange is taking place and how the Western musical fraternity is at this point of time and has always been in awe of Indian music, and they're continuing to discover more and more aspects. And you are amongst those few individuals who are allowing for this discovery and rediscovery to take place every step of the way. I wish you all the very best and congratulations for all your new endeavors that you are taking forward.
Thank you so much, Megha, and thank you for this platform that you've been creating with NewsX. I so appreciate it. Thank you.
NewsX ITV network have proudly launched the VaKu Diaspora Broadcasting Network. VaKu DBN will be India's first mainstream platform dedicated to the diaspora community. Help support us, become VaKu patrons at memboro.com/VaKu. You will get the first access to our interviews, make recommendations, merchandise access, ask questions, and get a shout out of thanks on our TV shows. You can also suggest to us who should get the VaKu Golden Chakra Awards and also tell us who should get into the VaKu Hall of Fame. Limited memberships are available at 100 rupees per month on Memboro VaKu. Sign up now. Log on to memboro.com/VaKu.